I would now like to invite the Honourable Bill Shorten MP to deliver today's occasional address. Bill Shorten is the Shadow Minister for the National Disability Insurance Scheme, the Shadow Minister for Government Services, and was leader of the Australian Labor Party from 2013 to 2019. Mr Shorten joined the ALP at 17 and the Australian Workers' Union as an organiser in 1994. He has been Secretary of the Victorian Branch and AWU National Secretary. He's credited with reforming and reviving the AWU and while there led the fight against work choices. His public profile was raised during the Beaconsfield mine collapse in Tasmania 2006, where he acted as a union advocate for the workers at the mine and their families. As Parliamentary Secretary for Disabilities and Children's Services, he was the key architect of the NDIS. He's also served as Assistant Treasurer and Minister for Financial Services and Superannuation, Education Minister, Minister for Employment and Workplace Relations, and Minister for Financial Services and Superannuation. He was elected as the member for Maribyrnong in 2007 and has held the seat ever since. And his seat includes our campuses in Footscray, our headquarters, and in that role, Bill takes a keen interest in Victoria University. He lives in Maribyrnong with his wife Chloe, who also takes a keen interest in Victoria University and is VU's Youth Mental Health Ambassador. So Bill, Chloe and their 3 children and 2 bulldogs all live locally. Please welcome the Honourable Bill Shorten MP.
Well, good morning, everybody. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, academic and professional staff, graduands, families and friends, and in particular, those who are the first in their family to attend university. I acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land upon which we meet. I pay my respects to their elders, past, present and emerging, and I pay my respect to all people of Indigenous descent who are here with us today. I want to tell you that I love history. Now, one of my favourite scientists in the history of the world is a gentleman called Sir Isaac Newton, one of the greatest minds that the world has ever produced. Sir Isaac Newton, for those of you who are not familiar with him, was an English mathematician, physicist, astronomer, theologian. He was an author who lived about 350 years ago. Newton used science to explain the mysteries of the celestial heavens in the sky, which the people of that era just didn't understand. He created a device to allow us mere mortals to share the wonders of deep space. Now, in other words, today he's what Australians might call a bloody show-off. He knew things. You could forgive Newton after his lifetime of achievement if he was a bit proud of himself, if he had a few tickets on himself. But not Newton. Our friend Isaac Newton famously credited his success to those who had gone before him. He said, "If I have seen further, it is because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants," the shoulders of giants. Now, by contrast, perhaps all of us will have met someone not as impressive. People we meet in life who think that their good fortune is self-derived, that they really don't owe anything to anyone else. But Newton, he wasn't like that. And today, the theme of my address is that we all stand on the shoulders of someone else. Now, when I look out at this fabulous gathering, my feeling is quite personal. my feeling as a father who hopes their children might graduate, my feeling as a graduate. I can appreciate perhaps some of what you've had to go through to get here to this marvellous day. But regretfully, I don't know each and every one of the graduands. I don't know all of your backstories, the perseverance, the sacrifices you've had to make to get to today. But rest assured, even if I don't know each of your backstories, I know enough to admire your accomplishment. Today marks your personal success. It'll go very quickly. Enjoy every minute of it with your families and friends. But you're here also today not just as individuals graduating. You're here as citizens. You're here as adopted, for those from the 27 other countries who are graduating here today, as adopted sons and daughters of Australia. You're here because your families, your partners, your professors and teachers, and your country has given you this opportunity. You stand here in part due to your own hard work and in part as a result of the sacrifices of your loved ones. And for that, not just the graduands, but every parent, every family member, every friend who's here supporting, you too should feel proud that this is in part your success. Now, it's traditional as I research these occasional addresses for sage and wise and possibly mature people to give you, the fresh-faced, newly minted graduates, some hard-won, world-weary advice. But I only have one piece of advice for you today. It's this: give something back. Get involved in society, get involved in your community. Get involved in some form of public life. Be a pair of shoulders for someone else. Make Australia a better country. Nothing feels better. No one can take that feeling of accomplishment away from you when you contribute to the greater society, no matter what happens in your journey of life. What we accomplish is so much more important than what we accumulate. That's the difference between making a living and building a life. The last time I wore this academic regalia was 18 years ago when I was graduating from my Masters of Business Administration. The world has changed a lot, even in the last 18 years. A lot of that change has largely been driven by the speed of digital technological disruption. In 2001, the first iPhone was still 6 years away. Today, I would be surprised if any of the graduates are not packing an iPhone or an Android phone in their pocket or their purse. But in this last 18 years of massive change, which bits are for the better? Which bits are perhaps for the worse? How do we take the good from this digital revolution shaking up our world while jettisoning the bad? I think we're only really beginning to start untangling that. But I have little doubt that technological disruption will be a large part of the lives of today's graduands. My generation X, we will be the last to remember a world before the internet. Your generation may one day have to imagine or research a world before the internet to find the solutions to the darker or less pleasant side of the digital revolution. Perhaps it'll be digital detox, the social media free days, to community projects. And this is why I say, give something back. Get involved in a public life which is bigger than just yourself. Don't just do it because someone tells you to, but because it'll be good for you as well. Nothing is better than giving back. I think the remarkable students of the class of 2019 will carve a path in a world where isolated individualism is rampant. You, the graduates, will make families and lives, careers and history, at a time where the notion of community has never been more trampled upon and where society has never been more atomised. The digital revolution is good for many things, but the digital revolution, as we're finding out, is not always good for human relationships. The boundless global market may be good for some things, but the boundless global market is not, as we are finding, always good for the human soul. I've always been an optimist. I've always had the view that in Australia, today is always generally better than yesterday, and tomorrow will be better than today. I still fundamentally have that view. But you, the graduates of 2019, you will find challenges. Challenges previous generations did not have to imagine. Now, some of these challenges have long informed my Labor values, my own personal political vocation, but their challenges are larger than ever, and just think about them for a moment. Will we have full employment with the rising tide of automation comes crashing through? Will we defend rights at work and the right to work? Can we promote the ongoing march of women through the institutions of power and equality? Will we take real action on climate change? Can we include the disadvantaged and the marginalised and the vulnerable? Will we finally have a voice for First Australians, constitutional recognition, truth-telling and treaty with our First Nations people? And I'd like to add to the to-do list for the third decade of our century, 2020. We need to renew Australian democracy. We need to defend civil and informed and evidence-based debate at a time of shrill polarisation and shouting, largely driven by the self-selection of social media and the besieged business model of traditional non-opinionated news. Can we defend the agreed-on facts, where truth itself in our world is under siege from technology like deep fakes, which can create a video of anyone doing anything, even if it is not true? Or the lyrebird artificial intelligence, which can create audio of anyone saying anything, even if they didn't. Fostering social cohesion in a world rapidly changed by automation and artificial intelligence, that is something worth giving back. Now, I'm sure the class of 2019, you understand the need to give back to our nation and our home. But it's not going to be easy. It's going to require all your brain power, all your energy, all your idealism, all your goodwill. I'm optimistic, though. You've seized your opportunity at an education. You haven't wasted it. This is a marvellous credit to you and the people who love you. Many of you plan to be teachers, early year educators, sports coaches. So already I speak to the converted, because the very professions you choose to pursue are professions where you will give of your intellect, your physicality, and your emotions. You are people who choose a life of empowering, helping, leading others to fulfil their potential. But our nation will need a little bit more help from you in the future. Australia will need your shoulders to stand upon. So I encourage all of you, particularly as your lives get busy, to hold on to a commitment to community, to public life. Join in, volunteer, stand up, speak out, march and demonstrate if it feel that strongly. Join a charity, a sporting team, a park run, a surf life-saving club, a conservation group, a choir, sing in a choir, play in a band, a trade union, a political party, a faith group, the Neighbourhood Watch, the RSL, the local fire brigade. Join the SES, participate in a service club, and always turn up to vote. Just join in. We fear what we don't know and who we don't know. Our society cannot be taken for granted. Each of you is part of a bulwark against the pitfalls that Australia could fall into. Divided we are conquered, united we stand. Being part of a successful democracy, of an inclusive society, it means more than just conceiving of your own rights and freedoms. Real freedom is built upon a respect for others. Real freedom is built upon a respect for the rights of others. It is about retaining a fighting conviction that the rights of others are worth maintaining. Remember, you are standing on the shoulders of others, and remember that your shoulders are not just there for you. Thank you and congratulations.